Greetings, boys and girls. It's a new week, and we're going to do some more history. We're still in chapter 20. Last week we talked about what a charter or a covenant is, and we're going to continue talking about the Mayflower Compact, which is a type of a covenant or charter. A compact is another word for covenant or agreement between people. So we're going to be on page 100 in our history book right here, and we're going to be working on this page, history number 11. So before we look at the book, we need to answer some questions on here. This is a review from past lessons and past years that we've studied the Pilgrims and their trip to the New World. Number 1 says, why did the Separatists leave England? And where did they go at first? Because the Separatists are the people who chose to separate from the Church of England. They didn't feel the Bible was directing them to worship God the way the Church of England had it set up. So why did they leave England? Because the King of England was making harsh laws that did not allow them to worship God as the Bible directed them. Let me write that down for you, and I'll be right back. So there you have what I've just said. The Separatists left England because the king made harsh laws that did not allow them to worship God as the Bible directs, as the Bible tells them to. So put that in under question number 1. Write moderately small so it'll all fit. Not too small though, David. We have some small writers. And Caitlin, good job trying to write in cursive. You'll get it. All right, number 2, why did they have to leave Holland? Oh, sorry, part of number 1, they went to Holland. They went to Holland. Put that in there. Pause the video if you need more time. The reason they went to Holland is because the laws in Holland were not very strict about church. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted church-wise. And Holland was really close to England. It was just a little boat ride across the channel. So it was the best choice for them at the time. But you're going to see that it didn't work out. Why do you think it didn't work out? Because God didn't want them in Holland. He wanted them to start a new country in the New World, but they didn't know that yet. So number 2, why did they have to leave Holland after 11 or 12 years? And this comes from William Bradford's history of the group. He wrote their history. It's a book called Of Plymouth Plantation, and you can still buy that book today. So there's 4 reasons why they had to leave Holland. I'm not going to write them down for you. You need to write them in your own words, but this is the idea. First reason, their work, their labor, their hard work caused them to grow old too quickly. The kind of jobs they could find were very hard on their bodies. So I would write, their labor caused them to grow old too quickly. The second reason, their children had to work just as hard as the parents, and they began to have health problems. The children had to work because often their parents couldn't find work because they were not natives of Holland and they would not allow them to work. So the children's jobs were so hard that they were having health problems and wearing out and getting old, even as young people. Put that in your own words. The third reason, some of the children were taking on the ways of the people around them, even joining the army of Holland. And the most frightening one for the parents was the children were turning their backs on their parents and rejecting God. The people in Holland don't have a lot of, or didn't at that time, were not very much believers in God and believers in Jesus. And so their country was kind of like our country is now, kind of sinful and lawless and out of control. And their children thought, wow, party time, I can do this. I don't need that old God stuff. Mom and Dad, you're old-fashioned, get out of here. And they were turning their back on God. And the parents were so sad because they knew the freedom that comes from being a follower of the one true living God. And their children were running away from him, turning their back on him and going, no, don't want it. No. So they had to leave Holland before it was too late. So number 3 asks, what were the 3 reasons the Pilgrims gave in the Mayflower Compact for planting a colony in the New World? So here you don't have to write complete sentences. So let's read at the top of page 100 in this tan box. This is quoting this little portion of the Mayflower Compact directly, and you'll find all 3 reasons why they were moving to the New World and forming a colony there. It says, having undertaken for the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith and honor of our king and country, it says a voyage to plant the first colony. So having undertaken means having done it, made a voyage to, and then we go to the end, made a voyage to plant a colony in northern parts of Virginia, but in between there are the 3 reasons. Find them. 3 reasons. They're little phrases. You don't have to make them into complete sentences. Just quote directly from here the 3 reasons. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You can figure it out. And then number 4 says, in William Bradford's book, the one we were just talking about, of Plymouth Plantation, he said that they had, and this is a quote from him, a great hope of advancing the gospel. That means taking the good news of Jesus in the remote parts of the world. Well, the New World was remote, a long, long way from England. So they're wanting to take the gospel to the New World. And who was here in the New World? The Native Americans were, and they needed to hear about Jesus. They hadn't heard about him yet. And the Pilgrims were so excited about the freedom that they had found from actually reading the Bible for themselves and finding out how you could live your life with God's strength in you and worship him and have peace and joy in your life because of him. They wanted other people to have it. This is a new thing they had discovered. They hadn't always known about this. It took reading the Bible for themselves to find it out. And they were so excited, they wanted to tell the whole world. So, William Bradford says that they had a great hope of advancing the gospel in the remote parts of the world. Yea, though, that means even though they should be but stepping stones unto others. What is a stepping stone? Well, sometimes out in your garden, you'll have little stones, they're maybe just a little bit bigger than your foot, that are on the dirt, and they're just far enough apart so you can step on them and you don't have to step in the mud. And so those are called stepping stones. So what does he mean that they would be stepping stones for others? Does a stepping stone get to go to the final destination? No, it just sits there and lets people walk on top of it. But it helps others get to where they're going. So how would a person be a stepping stone for the advancement of the gospel? I want you to think about that and come up with your own ideas. So that's all for this paper. Let's read the rest of the chapter now. I want you to do that for yourself, the rest of the chapter here. And then we'll be back tomorrow with another lesson. Bye.